Hello and welcome to PoliticOly episode 8. It is May 3rd, 2020 here in Olympia, Washington, broadcasting live to you as PoliticOly on YouTube and Twitch and on Facebook as well. And you can find me on Twitter at Oli Stewart and at Oli Politic. So go follow the Twitter for conversation and follow Oli Politic for show updates. And if you are watching on YouTube or Twitch, really appreciate you. Thanks for joining. And I highly recommend going over to YouTube and subscribing to PoliticOly on YouTube as well. And that's the best way to catch me live is go ahead and turn on those notifications so it lets you know when I go live and you can jump in to the live conversation and participate live. That's the best way. Follow and subscribe on YouTube. I also want to say if you want to support the show, you can check out patreon.com/PoliticOly. And thank you so much to my first two patrons, James Newman and Paul Reed. If you would like to promote anything, a home business, your art, your music, your organization, or just share a message or anything like that, with the audience, you can join at the $8 a month super patron level, and I will share whatever you want me to share that's appropriate, of course, for the show every month on the screen live. And if you just have a spare $3 a month, you can contribute by becoming a patron. It helps me save up for equipment to make this a higher quality show, reach more people, and grow this platform to help us all learn from each other, which is my goal. So check out patreon.com/PoliticOly to learn more. And that's what you can see on the screen here. Now, real quick, I am also looking for contributors for content for the show. If you would like to be a video contributor, photography, audio, a correspondent, anything like that, please let me know at politicoly@gmail.com. And thank you. All right, moving on to this week's news. I want to go ahead and just really quickly talk about May Day. We just recently went through May Day in Olympia, Washington, and so wanted to give you guys a quick update on that. These slideshow photos I'm showing, this one is by these two by Jessica Ryan, who contributed these via the Facebook post about this show. So thank you to Jessica. This is Leslie Cushman. Farm worker rights are worker rights are human rights. And Leslie is always out there in the community promoting awesome, organizing and community activism. So go follow Leslie Cushman for more. This is over at the West Side, at where they were rallying in the grocery outlet area for the caravan over to the Capitol. This is across the street there. Some comrades promoting communism across the street. Rock on. This is Leslie Cushman again, just a different photo. The photo by Leslie Cushman. This one is at the Capitol. This is a Jessica Ryan photo. It says essential and excluded on that car, talking about migrant workers. This one, lucha contra la pobreza, no los pobres. That means a fight against poverty, not the poor. And then the graffiti is capitalism is the virus. So I just wanted to share, I didn't go to the actual May Day rally at the Capitol. I don't have a car for the caravan, and I just wanted to reduce the contact with that crowd out there because I don't have a car and I would have been on a bike or on foot. And so I didn't go to the Capitol due to the pandemic situation, but Jessica Ryan did. And so I just have a quick report back from that rally. So thanks to Jessica for chiming in with your experience. She says, quote, "We finally saw some vehicles with signs that told us the May Day caravan had made it to Olympia, and they were merging in with the Trump supporters. Everyone was honking and definitely some chaos, but it didn't seem too dangerous to merge in with the traffic as everyone was going slow. Unfortunately, I didn't get much photo or footage as I wanted to really pay attention to my surroundings and safety. Cops weren't wearing masks, and of course, many of the Trump supporters weren't. Most people in the Mayday vehicles were masked. Signs of solidarity for essential and migrant workers, people in detention centers, etc., were on cars. There was a huge turnout for both sides, it seemed. I hope everyone stayed safe out there. And again, that's a quote from Jessica Ryan. So thank you, Jessica, for the report from the field there. And the big the big thing on social media is all of the contrast between all of the right-wing supporters against the shutdowns, and they were going into all these protests, some of them armed, often very belligerent and not wearing masks and endangering the community and across the country. And there was really the contrast pointed out in a lot of media sources between all these white protesters, many of them with guns, coming onto the state capitol and things like that, and the police just let them do whatever they want. Whereas if it was a Black Lives Matter protest or a water protector, indigenous rights protest or something like that, the police would have had a more heavy-handed response. And that is indicative of the white supremacy of our law enforcement system and the inequality in our right to protest and exercise our free speech. So, but I didn't get any media of that myself. And so I will leave that to you to find other firsthand reporting from the field on May Day. But I will just quote with regard to that double standard. I'll do a quote real quick from a tweet I saw from the Crime Think collective. They said, quote, "Neither the death cult demanding the reopening of the capitalist economy at any cost, nor the unmasked police who exist to preserve the inequalities of capitalism and white supremacy care about the virus spreading. Both count on privilege to protect them." And again, that was a quote from the Crime Think Collective on Twitter, and I agree with that quote. And that's a good point, that why it may seem weird. Why don't they seem to care about the virus, and why don't they seem to be protecting themselves and others? And it's because they live in a bubble where they are often protected by their privilege, and so they just don't have the same concerns for community safety as some others. So moving on, I wanted to, let's see, play. I didn't go to that rally at the Capitol where it all went down, but I did swing by the where the caravan was gathering at the grocery outlet parking lot while I was doing some essential errands. So I just took a quick video so you could get a look at that rally. So let's tune in to that short video. Update from the field here over in Westside Olympia. I noticed that there was folks gathering for the May Day caravan, and just wanted to give you guys a peek at what's going on out here today. So anyway, there's a IWW sign and solidarity with workers and prisoners, and some May Day signs, forgive debt, and some things like that. So if you're interested in joining the May Day caravan, it is still gathering over here at the West Side Grocery Outlet Plaza here. So come on down, and yeah, happy May Day to everyone, and much love and thanks to anyone organizing, caravanning, marching, or anything else today. So happy May Day, love and peace, have a good one. All right, so again, that was just really quick, and And the reason I don't really spend more time going into the crowd there is just to respect everyone's space and privacy there. So again, if you want to get more media about what happened in May Day at the Capitol, you'll have to look for some folks who were there because I didn't make it this time. So moving on though from that, I did want to highlight a story here from La Resistencia Northwest, which is an immigrant rights organizing group. And they did a May Day rally at the Northwest Detention Center in Tacoma, which is a private ICE prison for immigrants who are going to be deported. And La Resistencia Northwest was showing up in solidarity there. And so I'll just read this quote here from that organization. Quote, Mayday rally at NWDC. We're getting calls from the inside reporting on conditions. It's impossible to social distance. They're made to work, and guards get angry when they don't want to work or don't feel safe working. People are being given the wrong medicines. Some folks inside with diabetes aren't being treated or let out. Please keep sharing and keep organizing. Keep in good health so we can shut down NWDC and so we can all get free. So go check out or La Resistencia Northwest for more coverage on that. And thank you to them for their organizing, which is really critical at this time. One more link with regard to that, we're just going to head over to their Twitter. This is the same organization, La Resistencia Northwest. And I wanted to mention this one because this is really troubling news here. Quote, emails reveal ICE systematically retaliates against immigration activists. Democracy Now! One name that appears repeatedly is Maru Mora Villalpando, an undocumented activist and leader of the grassroots organization La Resistencia. And on the replay of this show, I'll post the link to this in the comments so you can check out this link to the Democracy Now! Segment for all the information on this. But I just wanted to bring that to your attention. So, solidarity with everyone at the Northwest Detention Center and organizing around shutting down the private ICE prisons and supporting everyone that is being terrorized by that process. So let's see. I'm going to go ahead and just really quick give you guys an update about elections in Thurston County. So the Thurston County Elections Department announced that because the elections office is closed to the public, if you want to file to be a candidate, you are going to have to get those filed through the mail, and they're going to have to be receiving those by Friday, May 15th at 4:30. So you're going to have to get those in a little early and just make sure you get that ahead of the deadline, because normally you can just go into the office in person before the deadline, but that's closed this year. So you got to be a little bit ahead of the curve there. So I just wanted to let you know in case you are thinking of running for office or know someone who is, so no one misses a deadline. So let's see, in just a real quick social media update. Here, let's switch back to the browser here and just check out a couple of links here. On Twitter, this is a outside Jeff Bezos's mansion in DC. An organization called Shut Down DC created this big mural right on the street, right in front of Bezos's house. And so check that out at Shutdown DC. Thought that was a good Mayday action there. I want to show you all something that caught my attention, and an independent media channel that you could check out is called Means TV, and it, they are announced this new gaming division called Means Interactive, and so they're going to be trying to make some video games that are anti-capitalist and educational as well as being entertaining. So let's check out this really quick ad for their new title, which is being released on May 8th on Switch, PC, and Mac, called anyway, go check out means_TV on Twitter for more on that. Moving on. So, just really quick, I wanted to talk about how some really big national names related to the Bernie campaign have started to openly talk about being interested in third-party politics. One example is Roseanne DeMoro. So go check out Roseanne DeMoro on Twitter for more about that. In this link, we can see Nina Turner, someone had posted about for a People's Party, and someone had commented, Movement for a People's Party had commented, Nina, we welcome you with open arms. And then Nina Turner responds, whoops. Well, maybe I got the wrong link to the Twitter there. But anyway, basically the point is that Nina Turner had responded in a way that indicated that maybe she would be potentially interested in talking about being involved with a People's Party. So that is interesting. And I'm going to keep you all up to date on some more social media happenings related to that organizing as well. So, just want to real quick say that in a few minutes we are going to be joined live by Rory Summerson, who is running for Thurston County Commission Position 1. And so, for a live interview. And I welcome anyone watching to jump in the chat below. If you comment on Facebook, Twitch, or YouTube, it will show up down there, and I can ask that question to the candidate. So join the conversation, and I am going to go ahead and be right back and set up that Zoom and see if that is working. I was having a technical issue with Zoom, so I hope that is going to work out. But so yeah, I'm going to be right back. And in the meantime, what I'm going to do is highlight a local music, a local artist track here. Switch this window back over to the browser. And this one is by Eric Miller, who many of you know through local activism and organizing with the Bernie campaign and the Democratic Party, political revolution, and so on. And his rapper name is E Mills. You can find him on SoundCloud at official E Mills. And so I'm going to go ahead and play this track while I get the Zoom meeting set up. So bear with me, and we'll be right back in a couple of minutes with Rory Summerson. And again, here is E Mills with Digital Heroes theme song. All right, I hope I successfully muted that. Here's E Mills.
All the scammers taking money from old women, bullying children. Well, Tank and Mills got something to say about that.
You can run, but you can't hide. 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 Think you're safe, it will hit you from the blind side. So much evil in this world, but we're coming. Digital heroes, we got these bad guys running. You can run, but you can't hide. Think you're safe, it will hit you from the blind side. So much evil in this world, but we're coming. Digital heroes, we got these bad guys running.
There's Tank and Mills chasing evil and it's real. So much hatred in this world, but some good will make them feel what it's like to live, what it's like to give. A little compassion, we're taking action on distractions. Fashion got them dashing, taking something from another. They steal from the weak, the cold, their own mother. But someone is watching, that someone is us. Expose you on contact, we're giving no fucks. You bully, you trolly, you steal IoT. You do it on YouTube or live on the street. And one day, one way, I can promise you'll meet a father and son who will hand you defeat. One is looking for redemption, one is out to make his mark. Both are looking for the villains who stay hiding in the dark. Both looking to make peace on these streets that we walk. Both are looking for this world to play its part and have a heart, yeah.
You can run, but you can't hide. Think you're safe, it will hit you from the blind side. So much evil in this world, but we're coming. Digital heroes, we got these bad guys running. You can run, but you can't hide. Think you're safe, it will hit you from the blind side. So much evil in this world, but we're coming. Digital heroes, we got these bad guys running.
All right. Let's see. That was E. Mills. All right. Let's see if we can get the Zoom up and running here. Yeah. All right. So let me... Here, let's see. Okay. All right. So let's just get started with the interview and figure out the video situation later. So, hi, Rory, and welcome to PoliticOly. Thank you so much for joining me. Really quick before we get started, I just want to throw this disclaimer out there. I work for Thurston County, and this show, though, is just 100% my personal opinion, completely unrelated to anything professional. So just a disclaimer there. Everything on this show is personal opinion and in no way related to my professional work. So, Rory, if you could just introduce yourself for the audience, just really quickly, how did you get into politics? And just a really quick outline of what your political ideology is.
Yeah, so I started in politics back in 2015-2016 cycle, working as a volunteer for the Bernie campaign, and had run for alternate delegate here at the local level. And so I guess the thing that really got me into it was finally seeing that people had real representation. They had a real voice again, rather than just relying on people who didn't understand our lived experiences. We finally had a candidate that was advocating for us. And it really stoked my passion for politics and getting involved. So that's kind of where I started. And I've been involved with various political movements and actions my whole life. I guess the very first political thing I ever did, I was 13 years old and I lobbied for anti-bullying protections for LGBT youth in schools. And that was down in Oregon in Salem. And so I've had a long track record of doing political action, but as far as actually being intimately involved with politics, this 2015-2016 cycle was the beginning of that. In terms of running for local office, I had never envisioned myself as somebody who would ever run for office. Again, I wouldn't be in this at all had it not been for Bernie. I think, it was a really big motivating force in my life to stand up for my community. And so about a year and a half ago, I started getting really heavily involved in the local Democratic Party. It was our revolution, Thurston, the local chapter, that had advised that we get some more progressive voices as PCOs in the local party. And so I took that advice and ran with it. I joined the local Democratic Party and became a PCO. So I am now the PCO for Olympia 219, and have been since joining.
I believe
Uh,
you are actually my PCO right now.
I believe I
So,
am. Yes, I
uh,
believe I am.
thank you for
Uh,
that.
it is my pleasure. It's my pleasure. I've really enjoyed it. I think for me, it's been a really, well, it's been eye-opening for one, because obviously we see all the division in politics, and having new voices coming into the scene and being involved can sometimes be complicated, in terms of how welcoming the scene is. But I had a really good experience. I think overall it's been really fun, and people are are quick to encourage you to be more active and do more. So that was a really cool experience just joining in and of itself. Over the course of the last year or so, I have done a lot of organizing with our revolution, and I was one of the early members of the Thurston for Bernie 2020 group. Made T-shirts and man booths at various events. I also did burger booth for the Thurston County Dems as a volunteer and an organizer. I helped Joshua Collins' campaign get some boots on the ground there at the actual burger booth event this last summer, and that was a really amazing experience. And I think it's just kind of steamrolled from there. I ended up getting involved with some nonprofits as well as a result of just being involved in seeing what the needs were in our community. So I joined Empowerment Washington. Empowerment Washington, and I'm a board member for Empowerment Washington. I'm the vice president, and we deal with HIV prevention and education. And then additionally, I am now the vice president for Partners in Prevention Education. And we deal with advocacy and outreach for DV and SV, so that's domestic violence and sexual violence survivors, with a focus on the trans community. So in our unhoused population in the camps. And so that's kind of where my heart is sticking up for the people who have been less heard in our communities, and that need more advocacy in politics and more advocacy in our local government. And so I think that those factors are tantamount to the reason why I decided to run. I felt when I looked at the county commission as it was, that there really was no representation for marginalized communities. And so myself being openly gay, I felt that it would be really amazing to see a more diverse and more representative body there in the county commission, and somebody who really understood the struggles of the working class from an experiential standpoint. So I'm the assistant manager for a local small business, but when people think manager, they often think somebody sitting behind a desk. Well, for me, I'm a service manager, so I go out in the field, I do hourly work, and I'm doing all the same work that all of our employees are doing. And on top of that, managing the shop and doing our service in the shop for all of our equipment and inventory, OSHA compliance, L&I compliance, stuff of that nature. I have a degree in automotive, which is what prompted me to step up a little bit and help with the shop maintenance stuff and the vehicular maintenance. So I do maintain an entire fleet of vehicles for the company. Recently, though, I was laid off due to loss of hours relating to coronavirus. And so I again, I come back to this idea that I'm the only labor candidate in the race right now. And I think it's really, really, really important that we have representatives that are not only representative of labor, but that understand the real life struggles of people in our community, those who are not salaried, those who are not set up to have extensive vacation pay saved up, those of us who are making wages that are just barely covering our needs. And so I wanted to make sure that we too had a voice in our county governance.
All right, well, that covers everything. Thanks. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, that was a great answer. For those of you watching, there was a technical issue for some reason you can't see the video of Rory on Zoom. I will try to post the video on here later on the replay. So for now, just tune into the audio. And again, this is Rory Summerson, who is running for Thurston County Commissioner position 1 here in 2020. Moving along, I asked my 11-year-old kid what they would ask you if they were doing the interview. And he said his question for you is, how confident are you?
I guess it depends on where you're asking me my confidence lies. And so for me, I'm confident in myself as an individual, and I'm confident in my beliefs. I'm confident in my morals, in my values. I'm immensely confident in crowds, and having conversations. But I'll be blatantly honest. This new Zoom world we're in, it has been difficult.
Yeah.
I'm not somebody who's typically very comfortable on video in the first place, which is kind of nice that your video's not working. But it's something. There are challenges for anybody trying to be involved in politics, and I think being confident is something that you build over time, with experience. And so when I try something new or do something new in my life, obviously there are some hurdles that you get over in terms of confidence. But in general, I find myself to be a pretty confident individual.
Good. Yeah, I thought that was a good question because exactly, it's kind of open-ended a little bit on how you
Yeah,
interpret
yeah.
it. So, all right. Next question. I wanted to ask you your thoughts on the county's response to the homelessness crisis in Thurston County, especially with the situation. It's just there's so much going on with regard to this. Shelters are losing beds because of distancing requirements. Some new
Yep.
one is being opened up, but it's not enough. There's day centers being closed. There's issues with bathrooms and sanitation. I mean, there's so much going on. We could do a whole interview, but just if a quick take from you on Thurston County's homelessness situation and what you would do as Thurston County Commissioner to help.
Yeah, yeah. So and I'm really glad that you pointed out that a lot of the struggle we're having right now is related to coronavirus. But I will say also that even before that, we were facing struggles in our unhoused
Yeah.
population in terms of providing housing, and services. And so the couple of things that I would say kind of just off the bat is that, again, as a board member for Partners in Prevention Education, we're actually contracted for emergency response and outreach in the camps. And so I'm very, very thankful that the county did opt to extend our contract to do that. And so that's been a plus, obviously, that there is still some discussion about forefronting the needs of our unhoused population. Now, do I think that the county commission and/or the county is providing an adequate response? No, I unfortunately do not. I would love to see, and myself as a county commissioner, when I'm elected, I would be pushing really heavily to increase the amount of available bed space. And even now, in this time, I would be looking to source additional options for bed space, given that we have distancing requirements that lessens the amount of beds available in any given shelter. And so that would be a big push for me, is seeing where do we have facilities available, where do we have nonprofits available, where do we have religious organizations available that may be able to help act as more or less a stopgap for the services that we had, but now are diminished as a result of Corona. And so, yeah, I would say that for me, my big thing would be making sure that we have thoroughly vetted any type of approach that we have, that we are sourcing programs and methods that are proven effective in other locations that align with our values and with our general demographics. But then I would also be really heavily focused on some of the driving factors for being unhoused here in Thurston. Our point in time has shown us that, and it's that point in time census that we have just recently done, shows us that the number one driving factor for our unhoused population is mental health. And so that, in broad terms, is really one of my core focuses. One of my pillars in my campaign is actually people first. And people first for me encompasses two things. We need to get our people into a situation where they have a roof over their head, and also increase their access to critical services. And so for me, critical services is a kind of a two-part discussion, because the county has done a lot of work to increase available bed space. However, bed space alone is not going to solve the issue. What we know is that the extremely high cost of care in terms of intake appointments, in terms of just normal counseling appointments, and how many you need, the cost of med management, the cost of the meds themselves, and any ongoing stabilizing treatment can be exorbitant. And so I would look to see what the county can do above and beyond what we are currently doing to offset some of those concerns.
All right, thank you. Um, let's see. Do you have a, just to go in a different direction here, let's talk about the campaigning a little bit. Um, do you, as someone who is just getting into this whole political world of, running for office and going through all this process, do you have any thoughts or advice or tips that you would give someone who is thinking for running for office, or maybe knows someone that they would like to encourage to run for office?
Right. Encourage them. Stand by them, encourage them. Politics can be very difficult, especially for new faces. I do like to consider myself and other people in the political sphere as advocates for their communities. And so I think that there's a narrative around the word politics and politicians that sometimes can be dehumanizing. And so I think that people should be looking at their neighbors and at their friends and at themselves and asking themselves, am I an advocate? Is this person an advocate? Do they believe in the issues that I believe in? Do they have the values that I have? Are they going to look at a problem and react in the way that I do? And so that's what I would say in terms of encouragement. But also, I would say that really take a look at your availability, how much time you have to really contribute to a race. I will say that when I first started campaigning in this race, I was working anywhere from 6 to 8 hours a day on average. And then there are days that I was working 10 to 12-hour days. And to do that, I was, and while doing that, I was also going to school full time. I still am, and campaigning. And I will tell you, if you are not a workhorse, if you are not somebody with endless amounts of energy, it can be a struggle. So really take into account what your personal availability is, and how resilient you are as an individual. I think the thing that, because I like to consider myself the nice guy. I am kind of one of those that's I give everybody the benefit of the doubt. And so there have definitely been times where I've been blindsided by attacks out of nowhere that I felt in the moment were unwarranted. But it's that realization that, again, this is politics. And so I think there's a certain level of thick skin a person needs to be able to run for office, because it certainly is not easy. But I do think that if you're passionate, if your values are in the right place, if your heart's in the right place, I think there's a lot to be said for that, and that in and of itself will bring people to your side and help you get through those struggles.
All right, that's a great answer. Um, let's see. How about what's something that you've seen in the community lately that has inspired you or been really positive? What's some good news in the community that you have seen lately?
I have just been flabbergasted, dumbfounded, and had my heart warmed by all of the members in our community who are actively making masks and PPEs for the community. And we are not selling them in our community. We are giving them, and so that comes from the heart, out of a real understanding that we need to look out for our own and for our loved ones and for our neighbors. And so that's been something that I've been really thankful to see. The other thing that I would say I'm really thankful to see is that small business is standing up for other small businesses as well. So, I mean, just the other day I went down and I got, and I've been going there a lot lately, actually, partly because of this, but the Euro spot down in Olympia on 4th, part of their profits are actually going to help offset the losses in other small businesses in the community.
Oh,
And
that's
I
great.
thought that was absolutely astounding, a really upstanding thing for any small business to do, especially when we're all struggling. So seeing that has been something that's been really heartwarming. Those are I think the two things that stand out the most right now. Just responding to the question about what I've
Yeah,
seen in the community, that's
good
made me
one.
really happy.
Do you want to plug the Facebook group? You're an administrator for the
Yeah.
Thurston community. What's the exact title of that group for folks to look it up?
Yeah, let's so it's Thurston Community Aid for COVID-19.
Right.
And that is a public Facebook group, and really there's a couple of local Facebook groups actually that are phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal, geared towards community aid, providing resources, news and information, uplifting posts, and a sense of real community when we're all so distant right now. So any of those groups are really fantastic. The one that I'm an admin in is Thurston Community Aid for COVID-19.
I'll put a
Um,
link to that in the description below when I post the
yeah,
video later.
it's been a really great group, and we are really awesome in that we try to balance the discussion between community aid and direct action. So if you're somebody who wants to really have a discussion around direct action, around politics, about what we should be doing in our community, politically, and how we can direct our local governance to be more responsive, those discussions can be had in the group. But then there's also the other side of the group that is exclusively community aid. So providing resources like diapers for young children, and struggling parents, providing just counseling if you need to go on there and vent. I've seen a couple of posts for that, and we welcome that as well. And then also, like, the actual news links that get shared in these groups are really amazing, because it can be very hard sometimes to track down all the various resources and news outlets that are pertinent, that are up to date, and that are accurate. And so I think that the members in the group have been really responsive and responsible about ensuring that we have information out there for everybody in the community.
Cool. Let me see. I wanted to ask you a little bit about campaigning
Yeah,
during all this, and you're trying to do some social media. You're here. Thank you for that. And I know this is a real small show, but we're just trying to, like everyone else, just trying to figure out what to do here in this time. And so, thanks for coming on. And I
yeah,
noticed that you had a stream yesterday with Mary Ellen Biggerstaff
yeah.
about healthcare related issues. So if you could real quick maybe plug your YouTube channel and just talk about what that stream was about yesterday and point people to that.
Right. So the stream yesterday was about kind of the frontline issues that we see with COVID-19. Mary Ellen Biggerstaff is running for LD22, but also has a doctorate in nursing, and is extremely, extremely intelligent, and articulate on issues surrounding healthcare and medical services. And so really our discussion was centered around what do we need more of in the community, what's working and what's not working. So my live streams, we do them every Saturday at 4 p.m. And it's called County Conversations. And you can find us, it's Vote Rory 2020 on YouTube. And so what I would say about the YouTube, and to your point about campaigning right now, is that it's something new that we're learning how to do. All of us are. And so even yesterday in the video, I got a little bit sidetracked and flabbergasted by some technical difficulties. And I think you'll see that in a lot of campaigns, especially with new faces who are not necessarily used to this medium and having to do videos all the time. And so it's a learning experience for all of us. But what that shows us is that local candidates and politics in general is making every effort to be responsive in this time, to still get their name out, to still be engaging in the community and being active. It's certainly, like I said, it is a struggle sometimes, but we roll with it. We just keep on trucking along to make sure that the voters have a real choice and that they understand what that choice is between the various candidates. I'm so very thankful to see that we have 3 Democrats in the race for my specific race, and that all of us are attempting to create a new method for outreach. And I think for me, it's interesting because I announced my candidacy back in November, and we had built an incredible budget. We had built an incredible campaign plan. We had invested hours upon hours into creating that plan. And then when COVID struck, it all went down the drain. And so it was a matter of then retooling our campaign to meet that need. And while that's been difficult, it is also something that I think is beneficial because a lot of people, in terms of equitable access to campaigns, will benefit from being able to watch a campaign and watch those discussions online and through video mediums.
Cool. And I will also mention voterory.com is your webpage. So audience, check out voterory.com. Pretty straightforward domain there. You got good one.
Yeah, I try to make it real easy for everyone.
Yeah, that's a good one. Anything else you'd like to say before we wrap up?
The one thing that I would say is that politics is going to be hard for this next couple of weeks to months, potentially even year or two. And I ask that people are patient, but that they're paying attention and that they're really watching what's going on, and seeing who is trying to rise to the challenges that we're facing, and doing so in a way that is representative of their values. I myself, I'm running a values-based campaign, so we're not deviating from my personal values at all in my campaign. So in terms of things like ensuring that we have diverse representation on our campaign staff, that we have a balance, a healthy gender balance and representation on our staff, and that we are inclusive at all times. So things like that. Make sure that you're paying attention to what these campaigns are doing, the words that they're saying, and even when it's hard for them with technical difficulties, that you're really investigating whether or not that candidate is somebody that you believe in, because we're all going to be facing struggles and we're all going to have a hard time conveying our message in this new medium. So I encourage people to be patient with all of our local candidates, encourage them to keep trying, because democracy can't stop. We have to keep that ball rolling, and we have to continue to be active in our communities.
Definitely. And something I always tell people is it really democracy if there's only one person on the ballot or two? Like, we need options.
Exactly. The voters deserve choices.
And to have options, you need to run. All of you watching,
exactly.
And encourage community leaders that you know to run as well.
And we need PCOs so badly.
Yes.
Like, if you want to make a real change, the people who make the change at the ground level in the grassroots communities, those are your PCOs. So precinct committee officers, they have a wide range of responsibilities. They vote on the local party platforms. They select delegates that go to the state and to the national level, that then thereby vote on the national platform with the DNC. They're the ones that'll help to elect the DNC chair. So if you're not happy with the DNC chair, keep in mind it's PCOs that put them there. So you've got to do the work if you want to make the change.
Yeah, I agree. And as for me, I'm not currently involved with the Democratic Party, and so I've gone a different direction. But what I
Yeah,
tell people is that if you are interested in Democratic Party politics, go, be a PCO, connect with your PCO if you already have one, and see how you can help. Because if that's your avenue for your personal politics, if you're into supporting Democrats, then get involved
great.
with that. So um, I really appreciate you coming on the show, and I know we just barely scratched the surface on a lot of things. So hopefully, maybe we can do this again in the future once we get some technical difficulties sorted out. We'll try it again. So thank you for bearing with me on that, and
Yep.
really appreciate you coming on the show. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
thank you,
no,
Rory
it's been a
Summerson.
pleasure. I'm really glad that you are out there making these videos and giving some airtime to local candidates. It means a lot. So thank you. Thank you so much. And it was a pleasure being with you today.
Thank you.
Yep. We'll see you later.
Later.
Bye.
All right, so wrapped up there with Rory Summerson. I apologize for for some reason the Zoom video was there on the app, but not translating to the live stream here. So apologize for that. And I again, when I post the replay later, go subscribe to PoliticOly on YouTube, and then when I post the replay of this show, first of all, you'll have all the links to everything mentioned in this show for in the description that you can easily click on. And second of all, when I do the replay, it'll be edited a little. I'm not a pro editor, but I cut out the beginning and stuff like that, and just kind of edit a little. And in this case, I'll try to add the video from the Zoom chat so you can see the video from that. So anyway, thanks again to Rory, and thanks to all of you for tuning in. Let's see. What should I put up? I'll just put up the memes again. Memes are always good, right? Okay, so just before we wrap up the show real quick, um, let's see. All right. Next weekend, same time, same place, politically at 1 o'clock every Sunday, 1 to 2 p.m. Pacific time. Next week's guest is Mary Ellen Biggerstaff, who was mentioned in that interview, who has a doctorate of nursing and is also running for LD22 here locally. So tune in next weekend and subscribe to PoliticOly on YouTube and turn on those notifications so you catch it live. I'd love to get some comments or questions for Mary Ellen next weekend. So if you can go ahead and post a comment, if you have a question you would like to ask the candidate for LD22 next weekend, go ahead and get that comment in. And one final thing that I will plug here is the PoliticOly Patreon. So um, um, one second. Let me go ahead and switch these windows back over here while we're at it. Let's see. All right. Well, it doesn't want to pull up, so never mind that. But anyway, um, if you go to patreon.com/politically, you can check that out. I've just launched that and we're just getting started. But if you can sign up on the $3 a month level, basically it just helps me save up for video production equipment. I really need a mic to improve my audio quality, and I need a better webcam to improve my video quality, and things like that to build this show into a platform so that we can give a voice to candidates and community leaders and anyone else. And so check out the Patreon. If you can join at the $8 a month level as a super patron, then I will go ahead and thank you, either thank you on the screen every month, or put whatever message or promotion that you want. If you want to promote your art or your channel or your home business or your organization or anything like that, if you join at patreon.com/PoliticOly at the $8 a month level, I will give you that plug on screen every month. So check it out. And really appreciate everyone for supporting the show, subscribing on YouTube, sharing. And we've really come a long way in a couple of months here. And if it just keeps growing, then this time next year, this could be a real show. So keep tuning in and supporting, and I really appreciate all of you. I hope you all are having a good week, and I look forward to seeing you next weekend for the Mary Ellen Biggerstaff interview at 1:30 and show at 1. So thanks all, and have an awesome day, and love and peace.